Easter's in full bloom at Whole Foods Market with great deals on spiral cut bone-in ham and leg of lamb, both crowd pleasers. Round out your spread with quiche, deviled eggs, and delicious catering platters from Prepared Foods. Oh, and remember to pick up a Whole Foods Market bunny cake from the bakery. Strapped for time? They cater too, with delicious options available without the effort. Find hundreds of Easter deals and delights now at Whole Foods Market.
Today on CityCast Houston, did you know that a one-weekend conference in Houston changed the course of women's rights in our country? Well, if you didn't, you're about to find out just how important our city was in the movement. Dee Coleman was one of the 30,000 women at the 1977 National Women's Conference, and she's here to help me celebrate Women's History Month by giving us a deeper look into the historical convention and why she's still a fierce fighter for women's rights today. It's Thursday, March 21st. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Miss Coleman, welcome into CityCast Houston. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Thank you very much for asking.
I'm so excited to chat with you, and it is Women's History Month. So tell me, who's a woman that inspired you?
Oh, let's see. Harriet Tubman, Coretta Scott King, my mother.
Why your mother?
Well, my mother's will be 98 years old next month.
Wow.
And she's always been a uppity woman. And I just kind of followed in her footsteps. You know, she was a single mom, and she always told me, if you're going to the ball, you might as well be the belle of the ball.
Those are words to live by right there. That is so beautiful. 98 and you still have her. What a blessing.
And she is feisty as she can be.
Oh, that is awesome. So some of that feistiness, it looks like you've picked it up as well. And in 1977, the National Women's Conference was held here in Houston. And it was the first and only federally funded National Women's Conference in U.S. history. It drew in over 30,000 attendees and 2,000 delegates. So, Ms. Coleman, can you tell me more about why this event was organized? What were some of the main goals that you were focused on and the rest of the women were focused on coming out of this conference?
Well, there were going to be numerous caucuses. There was the minority caucus. There was caucus on women aging, on health. We were going to discuss the status of women in our country, to measure the progress that had been made, and to make recommendations to President Carter and Congress by which barriers could be removed. Barriers on credit, on health, on education, on women in the military, women in education, in all areas of what women were interested in. We wanted to eradicate racism and sexism. We wanted opportunities in employment other than, secretarial jobs. We wanted political participation. And all of that we wanted to bring to the attention of the nation.
Yeah, why did you want to be part of it?
I wanted to be part of it because we were participating in changing things for women. And we thought that with the help from the government, with President Carter and Congress delegating all of this money to the conference and bringing all of these women together from all over the country and all over the world, that certainly good things would come out of that. And I wanted to be a part of it.
That is awesome. And you were a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why Houston was chosen specifically for this conference?
Well, Texas was doing great things back then. In 1972, they had ratified the Equal Rights Amendment. We had women that were doing great things, like Gloria Scott. She was the president of Girl Scouts and a Black woman that was living in Houston. We had Barbara Jordan, Sissy Farrenthal. Texas was the place to be. And, notably, women were doing things in Texas that women in other states wanted to know how to do.
That is so amazing to hear that Houston and Texas were leading the way. How about now? Do you feel like we're still good at that in helping women become trailblazers and lead the way?
Somewhere we got stuck. We're coming out of it, but we got stuck somewhere along the way, and we are just evolving all over again. We have strong women participants in Texas again, but the presence needs to be reinvigorated.
One of the fascinating things from this conference, as I was researching this, right? It's 1977. There's a lot of energy for equal rights. There's a lot of energy to get women, as you mentioned, on the political scene, to get them just the rights of credit. So many important things going on at the National Women's Conference. But then on the other side, during the gathering, there's a counter conference with about 15,000 attendees led by conservative activist and anti-feminist spokesperson Phyllis Schlafly, was held about 5 miles across town. Now, we know at the time it was a lot of men against women's rights, but how did it feel to have another woman fighting against y'all?
It felt awful in that they would show up at our conferences. They would show up as we were demonstrating. They would also be demonstrating. They had almost as many women at their conference as we had at ours. They were fighting against everything that we were fighting for, especially the Equal Rights Amendment.
Shipping can make or break a sale, so optimize how you ship your orders with ShipStation. They make it easy to automate and manage orders no matter how big your business grows. And they might even be able to help reduce shipping and warehouse costs. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Sign up for your free 60-day trial now at ShipStation.com and use the code POD. That's ShipStation.com with the code POD.
Dreaming of a better sleep? Tossing and turning is not your destiny. And Ollie is here to help. Ollie invites you to sink into sweet, sweet slumber to improve your mental and physical health and overall wellness. More than just melatonin, Ollie's ingredients help you unwind your mind for a delightfully dreamy drift off. Sleep is on the way at Ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
When you look back at that, that counter conference going on, did it almost spark an even bigger flame with all the attendees at the National Women's Conference because of the counter conference?
Absolutely. Out of our conference, we had 26 what we call planks. There was the Equal Rights Amendment, homemaker rights, one on children and older women, disabled women. Um, so we were invigorated even more so just to be, a louder focus, to drown out them because they were trying to drown out us and we did not want to be defeated.
And defeated you were not, right? You talk about the planks that came out and the different things that came out of the conference. Tell me about the long lasting impact of this conference that happened right here in Houston. How did it change women's lives in the United States?
Well, we are able to say that women were able to get credit in their names instead of in their husbands saying it was okay.
Mm.
We were able to get funds uh, for our children to be in daycare. We were able to get food supplements for women that were poor. We were able to get educational funding for women to get higher education. There were so many things. Unions came together, religious groups. There were all incomes and all ages that were represented, and there was advancement in pretty much all of those areas.
That is amazing that all of that came out of one weekend when, so many powerful women and excited women about changing the future of women's rights in the United States gather and get this outcome that is truly beautiful. When you reminisce about that, just how important that was, not only for women's rights, but also your life. Like, what do you think about?
Well, I think about all the women that came. Some of them were, well off, and some of them were very, very poor. There were women that showed up from Louisiana that worked on, sugarcane plantations. There were women farmers. There were women from Alabama that worked in factories.
Mhm.
There were migrant workers that came from New Mexico. So there was a whole ram of different women that were all gathered together that wanted a good outcome to send a message to President Carter and back to Congress that what we needed was probably different from what they thought. We wanted them to know for sure where our heads were and what we wanted them to be working on.
And I think that message got across very clear. I was going back and reading a story that you did with our newsletter editor, Brooke Lewis. And in there, you had this quote, and you said, just tell them what it was like before, right? You said, I just remind them how long we've been doing this. Remember, we weren't allowed to have credit in our names. Remember, we weren't allowed to have abortions. And you fight for all of these rights. You get these things passed. And now we're in 2024. Recently, in the last few years, abortion rights have once again been taken away. How does it feel seeing something you work so hard for being taken away?
It's awful. And we're going to have to make that a real campaign issue so that we can get Roe v. Wade back again because, it's awful that women are in the predicament that they're in, fearing getting pregnant, fearing having to go outside of the state if you're in Texas to have an abortion. It's a real healthcare issue. And, we just can't go back. We're going to have to do what we need to do in this coming election to make sure that we can change uh, Congress people because all things are lost if things are not good in November for us.
When you look back, is there a moment or is there an administration that played a role in the decline of women's rights, or was it a process that's been going on for a while now?
It's a process that's been going on for a while. Ever since ever since the convention, we came out of it. We came out of the conference all lifted up, and for a while everything was going good. Recommendations were made to the Congress, but slowly they've been peeled back.
Mm.
And here we are now trying to get back to where we were in 1977.
Do you think it's time for another National Women's Conference? Do you think something like that could help today?
Oh, absolutely. We have our little coalitions now. I've gone to so many marches in Austin, marches in DC, but we need a real awakening, national awakening. I think this national election is going to be our awakening.
Mm.
We're getting motivated just because things have gotten so bad.
As women continue fighting for what is right, for what is equal, what do you want to tell young women who are entering this fight as they continue to fight for the rights and equality that y'all deserve? What message would you like to tell them?
Join us. We cannot do this by ourselves. We need the youth. We need that infusion of vitality, because, I'm 81 now. I've been fighting this fight a long time and I'm tired, but I can't stop. What I have to do is recruit my replacement as a precinct chair, my replacement for everything that I've done in the past. I look to young people to do some of that work because that's what we need. young people.
I hope we find some and we continue this fight until we don't have to fight anymore for what is right. Ms. Coleman, thank you so much for joining us and sharing this incredible piece of history with us.
Thank you for having me.
That was Dee Coleman. You can learn more about the National Women's Conference with the links in our show notes. That will do it for today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something new. All right, Ms. Coleman, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Anything you say can and will be held against you, okay?
Oh my goodness.
I'm just teasing. It'll be easy. We're going to have some fun. All right. Here we go.
All righty.